So in this lesson, we're gonna go over how I set up all the files using VFace for texturing XYZ. So here's the really quick ZBrush setup. I just imported the head. I took the displacement maps, extracted out the RGB, and added them as TIFFs because ZBrush prefers TIFFs. So I just extracted all those, flipped them in the V direction, and then I just imported them into the displacement map and created layers for them. So each one has their own layer, and then you can adjust them however you want. And then I did a quick little like post-processing stuff for rounding out pores and stuff like that, which is basically just masking by cavity, and then doing stuff like inflate balloon at like 0.1 just to help round out some of the pores. And then I exported out the normal map at the level 1, and also exported out the geo at level 1 just so I get some of these forms into the geo, because the default mesh that you get from texturing XYZ is a bit smooth. Let's close this. Another thing that I had to do was in the maps, I actually made a quadrant mask. So let's open up Photoshop here so you can see what that looks like. It's basically just taking the 4 masks that they give you and putting them into a single map. That way we can kind of compress the textures within Unreal and just kind of extract out each one of these and scale them correctly onto the mesh later. So we'll be using this later for things like roughness control. That way we're not using all 4 maps within Unreal. Let's see, what else did I do? Back here, got the normals, so I exported the normals there. I baked it out in XNormal because ZBrush calculates their normals a little bit differently, so they don't quite look as good as XNormal. And you also get intersections and things like that, which you don't really want. If we go over here to references, what I did for this, I'm only going to be using this single forward-facing Macbeth ball. So what I did was I just took it into Photoshop and cropped it into a square. So that's a little bit more easy to scale in Unreal. The HDRI, you're going to want to take the EXRs and convert them to HDR. That way, when we use the HDRI backdrop in Unreal, it'll recognize that it's a cube map. So make sure you convert these to HDR. For lighting, I just took these first 3 and cropped them so that we can scale them correctly. Other than that, I did import the eyes. We'll see later if I do anything with them. Right now I'm just going to be focusing on the skin stuff. So I'm using Unreal 5 for this, so we're going to be working with Lumen. Right now it's still in early access, so some things may improve later on. So we'll just work with what we have for now. As far as my content is set up, I just have it basically set up the same as the folder structure for texturing XYZ. So you can see the geos in there. I've got the maps in here. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention was for this, you're actually going to want to add a black alpha channel because we're actually going to be baking a roughness from normal into this so that we can utilize all 4 channels instead of just the 3 that they give you. Yeah, so if you don't know how to do that, sure, we can do that really quick here. go here. Sorry, just bear with me for a second while I find these files again. Okay. So if we go back to the maps, we can grab the utility map here. And what I did is I just creating a new alpha channel here. Make sure it's black. Unreal won't be able to bake anything onto it if it's white. And then you just export this out as a 32-bit. Make sure it's 32 or it's not going to take into account the alpha. Alright, that should be good. So we got this. I'm thinking we're probably going to want to adjust the project settings to not use eye adaptation, because that's a pain in the butt. Let's see. What do they even call this? The auto exposure? Yeah. Alright, make sure that shit's turned off. We don't want that. Alright, and then I just made a new scene, called it L for level look dev. So that's what we're in right now, nothing's here. You'll also want to enable, go back to the, I guess it would be in plugins, the HDRI backdrop. So we're going to enable that. Let's go ahead and restart. This gives us an easy way to set up those HDRs really quick. Cool, go back to the scene. And then what we'll do is we'll just create the HDRI backdrop. Recenter that. Cool, looks like this thing's still going. That's not good. It should have turned it off. That's kind of weird. Let's see. Alright, I guess it just wants to do that. So what we'll do is we'll just create a post-process volume here. Make sure it's infinite is set, so that it covers the entire scene instead of just within the box. And then we also want to do the should have been in there. Anyways, we'll figure that out. It should be out of there. I'm not sure why it doesn't take into account the game settings. Yeah, we can figure that out later. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Maybe it's a camera setting. Save all. We'll just go ahead and import the head. Feels kind of small. Just go ahead and rotate this. And then let's also import our HDRI. So we'll select the HDRI backdrop and just drop in this front head here. Alright, I'll just rotate this guy. I guess I rotated him the wrong way. Okay. And then we will just go ahead and create, I just created a material function folder here. We're just going to create a base material here, just call it Uber, or I guess we just call it Uber skin, that's fine. go here. What we're going to want to do is make sure this is set to use material attributes, and then save it. And then we will create a new material function called mf uberskin. Let's go here. Go ahead and save all, save selected. Just drop this into our uberskin because we're going to need that anyways. Go into it. And here, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to set material attributes here. And then base color is fine. And we'll just put that in there for now. So once we have that, we should have the result here. We can just plug this into the material attributes for the main material. Save that. Let's go back over here. Go to our materials and just create a material instance. And I like to name it mi for material instance. And save all, save selected. And I will just go ahead and apply it to the actual static mesh. That way, if I need to make any changes to it, when I re-import the mesh, it'll keep the same material. Alright. So we are also going to go ahead and create a material for the calibration card. This one's just going to be, let's go over here. So I'm going to throw this in here, just throw it into the emissive color. Just so that we're not getting any sort of, what's it called, any lighting information from the scene onto this. Let's go ahead, set this to a constant 0. I guess specular could be 0 as well. Metallic and base color is fine. And we'll just go ahead and save that. Let's go back here. And we will create a plane. And I'll just throw it on the plane. On second thought, let's actually create a material instance of this. Okay, apply that to that one. Because I also want to add the head so we can see that too. So I'm just going to duplicate that and duplicate this guy. This one will be called, I guess, lighting. Throw that on there. And we can go ahead, open that up. And what we need to do here first is actually expose this as a parameter. Okay. Cool. So if you don't know what exposing parameters means, is just when you create material instances, it allows you to change those variables within the main material. So we can get into that later. So yeah, we should have all that stuff set up now. We can also, I guess we can also set up this sphere here. So we will create a sphere, center that, scale it down to like, I don't know, 0.25. I guess I didn't like that. Okay. It should be okay. And then we'll make a material for this. We'll just call this sphere, I guess. So go here, do a 3 vector, expose this as a parameter. We'll just call this base color. So we're just going to set all these to 0.18 because that is the mid value for Unreal Engine for some reason, not 0.5. Constant, set that to 0. Oops. I'll convert this to a parameter, call this spec. Typically we'll just keep spec around 0.5. Add a roughness. Roughness is going to be probably 0.4. And then everything else should be fine. We'll save that out. Close that, close that. Yep. Save that. Okay. And we'll just create a material instance so we can adjust those parameters if we need to. We can just drop it on there. Okay. And now what we want to do is try to adjust the lighting so that it affects the world correctly. Alright, so another thing we'll want to do is actually go into your HDRI backdrop and under the details, click on geometry and then scroll down under the lighting section and uncheck affect distance field lighting. That's the reason why it wasn't looking correct. Alright. Let's see, so we can drop this down to probably, I guess, yeah, 1 looks to be okay. We could probably drop it down even more. Oops. Maybe 0.75. So probably just play around with that until you get a similar value for the mesh here. Let's see, maybe 0.9. You could say around 0.8 looks about right. We can adjust that later. Cool. Save all. So let's actually make another folder, call this master materials. And then we'll just put all our master materials in there. Cool. Alright. That should be MI Uberskin. Cool. Alright, so now in the next lesson, now that we have all this set up, we're going to go ahead and look into seeing how we start setting the skin up